8 books, guys. I read 8 books in the month of October. I'm really excited about this. My best reading month of the year. My typical input actually, is about 5 books per month, which I'm still super happy about. That's probably more than enough. I'm realizing that maybe I'm reading them too fast. Maybe I should take some time after I finish a book, let things sink in. But that's maybe some changes for next year. Maybe I actually need to read less. Anyway, let's get right into it. 8 books, all of them were good. Some were excellent, some were just good. Let's start with Lem. Stanisław Lem, 1961. He writes Pamiętnik znaleziony w wannie, Memoirs Found in a Bathtub. The book was interesting. The book was unusual, read like a Kafka novel, The Trial or The Castle. Very interesting. It really offers a deep philosophical deep dive into existentialism, the meaning of life or lack thereof, bureaucracy. Bureaucracy gets picked apart. Of course, he was writing this behind the Iron Curtain, where anything, if you wanted to get anything done back then in Poland, you had to pay somebody off. You had to bring a bottle of vodka, a box of chocolates. Something had to happen. Our protagonist in this book is kind of lost in the system. He has a mission, but he doesn't know what the mission is. The book is really intriguing. It's full of both surreal horror and absurdist humor. The mix is very intriguing. Together, it really creates this mind-bending satire. I like this book a lot. I didn't love it. It's not the type of book you're gonna love, but you feel like you're reading something profound, like you're reading something that is really beautifully woven. The book starts in a very strange way because we have like this kind of a setup in the beginning about the actual time that this book takes place. And at the end of that setup, we find out that these memoirs were found. And the bulk of the book is the memoir of our protagonist written by him. Interesting book. I really enjoyed it. I like Lem's writing. I'm not 100% objective on everything when it comes to Lem, but this I thought was a great book. Really thought-provoking and challenging, yet ultimately rewarding. The next book I'm going to talk about is special, but for a different reason. It's one of my wife's all-time favorite books. Written by one of her all-time favorite authors, Kristin Hanna's The Nightingale is the book. She's been telling me about it for a long time. I finally picked it up, started reading it, surprised her by reading it. She was very excited, happy, and a bit nervous that I was reading a book. You know how it is. When you really love something, you hope everybody else loves it as well. Well, the good thing is I enjoyed it a lot. It's not my all-time favorite book, but it was great. The timing for it was perfect. I've been looking for something like this, reading so much science fiction lately. I needed something different. This is different. Historical novel, emotional. It really resonates. Powerful story, a story of two sisters in France during World War II. I've read a lot of books about World War II. Typically, they were set somewhere else, Poland, obviously, but also World War II on the Western Front, World War II in the Pacific. French, I didn't know much about. I knew, obviously, Dunkirk, the French resistance, the early failures of the French army, but I didn't know the lives of regular people, and especially women, often overlooked stories. But this is a great story because it shows the heroism, and it's based on a true story. Even though so many books have been written on the subject, never enough. There's always place for more, and this is a fantastic story. Really touching, well developed. The characters are great. Both sisters are unique in that they're different. They're completely different. Kristin Hanna's writing is clean. It's clear. It's simple in many ways. It's got moments. It's got moments of beauty, but it's just very readable, I would say, and it serves the story very well, I thought. So emotional. You may shed a tear. It's World War II. What do you expect? Come on. But yeah, I really recommend it. I don't want to give anything away about the plot if it's a book that you're interested in. It's not a thin book. It's fairly when I picked it up, I was like, "Ooh, this is quite a book," but it reads very quickly, very easy to read. It's like this window pane clarity to it. Simple. You don't really notice the writing, but you notice everything behind it. You kind of get the picture. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. I recommend it. The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. It's unusual for me to like a book in which I do not like the protagonist, especially when it's written from his point of view. He's the narrator. I still really liked Frederik Pohl's Gateway. What a good story. What an interesting mix. Very well written. Frederik Pohl, he can write. Intriguing premise. We have this gateway, an alien station that can take you just about anywhere in the universe, but you don't know where you're going to end up, and you don't know if you're going to come back alive from the trip. But if you get lucky, you could become fabulously rich. No free lunch with the aliens. Any case, let's get back to the reasons I liked this book. So even though I don't like the main protagonist, I really like the book because of the fact that it juxtaposes some action sequences on this gateway station in space with conversations that our main protagonist, Rabinet, something, I forget his name, is having with an AI psychiatrist. This was done so well. So good. This may come up again with another book, this theme, I just realized, but I digress. This was done so well. It's funny, humorous at times, hard-hitting. Definitely hard sci-fi elements are there for those lovers of hard science fiction. We do get some of those. Intriguing storyline. I wanted to say a romance, but I don't know if it's a great romance. There's some problems there. But overall, I was not bored for a second. Gateway by Frederik Pohl was a big hit. Frederik Pohl has one of my favorite quotes. I mentioned this in a video I shot with Bridger from Library Ladder recently. I asked him about this quote, and I just remembered that he, author of Gateway, said about science fiction in general that good science fiction, let's hope I can remember the quote again, good science fiction does not predict the car, it predicts the traffic jam. And I think with Gateway, this is on display. It goes beyond talking about just some event, some new technology. He's talking about how it's going to affect humanity. What is it going to do to humans? So Frederik Pohl has done a good job with Gateway. It's the first in a series of books. I really like Gateway. At some point, I'll get to the other ones. I'm in no rush. It's the Hichi saga. Hichis, those are the aliens that built Gateway. We do not meet any Hichis in book one. It's not a spoiler. We don't. But I think I want to. And I think perhaps in the subsequent books, we do. Leave a comment down below if you liked Gateway, The Nightingale, Lem, Hello, Memoirs, or anything else. Let me know what you've been reading in the month of October. But let's move on to the next book now. What is it? Oh yes, Dune Messiah, Book 2. Frank Herbert. Great story. I read Dune 2 or maybe 3 times at this point. I watched the movie Dune a couple of times as well. I never continued with the series. Finally, it happened in October. Dune Messiah was awesome. It's a much different book in many ways than Dune. I knew kind of what's coming already because you hear so much about Dune, you talk to people about it. So I knew the shift that's happening in this book, the shift within Paul Atreides himself, the change that he's going through, themes of power, religion, guilt, the results of achieving a certain utopia. What do you give up? The power and the failure of being a messiah, the burden of that. So many deep themes in this book. It's a much darker story than Dune in many ways. I just love how it subverts that hero's journey trope that is so popular. Frank Herbert pulled the rug from under so many readers. When this was published, a lot of people didn't like it. I believe Dune Messiah was published as a series in magazines first. Could be wrong about that. Please forgive me if I am, but I think I read that somewhere, and people were not happy. I was happy to read it. I do not need another story about a hero, and this was just fantastic. It's worth reading, certainly. I think the themes that I'm talking about, the broad themes, everyone has heard, everyone knows about. I hope this isn't any major spoiler for anyone in 2025. This book was written so long ago. But yeah, this was great. So I'm really looking forward to reading Children of Dune at some point. Probably next year. This year is gonna be tough to squeeze it in. But yeah, this was a great read. I still like Dune more overall as a book, but for a follow-up, for a book two, this was amazing. The next book I read was The Curious Incident of a Dog in the Nighttime by Mark Haddon. What a story. Incredible. I loved it. 5-star. I learned so much from reading this book. I could not put it down. It's a story about a neurodivergent boy, and we get such insight into someone living on the spectrum, someone living in a world of his own, behind this veil of his own understanding of how reality functions, and the reactions of people through seeing those reactions through his eyes. Well, this was the most powerful reading experience of this sort that I've had ever. This story was by far the most touching, the most real, the most hard-hitting, the most honest, I thought, in many ways, not pulling any punches, hilarious at times too, a fantastic detective story to boot. There's just so much happening in this book that it was just such a pleasure to read. I was blown away. I picked it up by accident. I've seen this book a few times. I've heard someone talk about it a while ago, and I'm so happy that I gave it a chance because it really turned out to be a profound story told in a unique way and one that really resonated deeply with me. I was attached to this character, even though the character has a difficult time bonding with people, he finds obviously social situations are very difficult for him, impossible almost to navigate in most cases. But I certainly was one with him and pulling for him every step of the way in his journey, in his adventure, which becomes dramatic at times, difficult for many reasons. There are twists in this story. I don't know, I'm rambling a bit, but this was an amazing reading experience. Obviously, I'm concentrating on science fiction, but when I throw these types of reads into the mix and they become such favorites of mine, I realize that it's really important to read broadly. So this was a good one. And speaking of reading broadly, the next book is a nonfiction book by Carlo Rovelli, a translated work, 7 Lessons on Physics. A short book. It helped me get to that number 8, honestly. I think it's less than 100 pages. 7 lessons, so we get 7 chapters. Each chapter is a different lesson on physics. Very interesting, well-written. There's a clarity of ideas of thought. It's really accessible to most. Each lesson is interesting. The problem for me was that I've read most of this already elsewhere. And there's just really nothing new. I think for someone who hasn't read a whole lot and wants a very concise ideas from the elementary physics, kind of the beginning, the architecture of the universe, all the way to the latest bleeding edge with quantum gravity theories, I think it's a fantastic book, very easily accessible, easy to digest, easy to understand, presented well, clarity of thought, all that stuff. I just read most of it previously elsewhere. Neil deGrasse Tyson, I've read it. So nothing surprised me here, but I still enjoyed it. And it's something that I would certainly recommend to someone who's kind of getting into physics and wants to just kind of get the broad strokes of what is going on in our universe and how do we fit into it. I think we're down to 2 books. Next on the list, Josh Chetwynd's The Exemplar. Thank you for sending this book to me, Josh. I appreciate it. Signed copy. Josh lives not too far from where I am in Colorado. This is a young adult story. I enjoyed it. I wasn't sure if I was going to because I don't read a lot of young adult, and this definitely has that feel, even though it could certainly be read by anyone and I think appreciated, and you could have a lot of fun if you're looking for something that's just very easy to digest, clear purpose, to the story. It takes place, I believe 2090 is where this story, or the bulk of it, any takes place. There's some flashbacks. There's some twists in this story, unexpected twists. Some dark themes come up in it, but overall, it's a fairly light read. We are in the future in 2090. We've gone already through some collapse, a partial collapse of society due to climate change, disasters, and we're dealing with. I don't know how much to say about this book without spoiling too much, but an exemplar is basically the best person from the bloodline that can be, let's say, brought back in the future and given an opportunity to fight for the future of the bloodline in this world that has limited resources and many, many, many issues. So this book is well written. Again, I think I mentioned it previously, that window pane clarity. The prose is nothing that is going to knock your socks off, but it's written very well. Sorry about the noise that you may be hearing, the heating system coming in and out. I'm in a basement. This is what I have to deal with. In any case, I was saying that while the prose may not be the most original, may not blow your mind, but it's really well done. There are no issues, no problems. I think this is a book that anyone could enjoy. It's really well written. The author knows the story that he's telling, and you can sense that. It's not meandering, it's to the point. I liked the themes that this book explores about cooperation, teamwork, the value of family, fighting for certain principles, doing the right thing. I have a feeling Josh is a really good guy, because to write a book like this with this kind of heart that it has, this backbone, really tells something, I think, about an author as much as it is just a fun story to read. So thank you again, Josh. I enjoyed it. I don't know what to say about this book, not to spoil too much, but if you're interested in something light, or if you have some kid who's 11 years old, 12 years old, I think it's perfect from that age on. So check out Exemplar by Josh Chetwynd. A good book. And by the process of elimination, we get to the last book. Was it the best book? I don't know. Maybe not. But it was a great read. Now I'm talking about Cordwainer Smith's Norstrilia. I had a buddy read with the usual suspects: Brittany, Sam, Richard, and Dale. We had a great time, and we had a live video in which we talked about this book. So I'm going to link that. It was an exhaustive, deep dive into Norstrilia. I think we spent good 2 hours plus talking about this book. We had a great time doing so. I think you'll enjoy it if you decide to check it out. What can I say about the read? It's a quirky story. It's unusual. The author throws so much at you, so many ideas. Not all of them are fully developed, totally cooked, but so many of them are intriguing. So many of them are fun. This book, it just kind of goes from being silly and funny and a book that it's difficult to take seriously to this moment of profundity where it's really amazing insight into human condition. And the themes that it explores are really profound too. So it kind of goes back and forth, always keeps you on your toes. Yeah, I really enjoyed this. This is my first venture into Cordwainer's. It's the only book that he wrote. He did write a lot in this world. Instrumentality of Mankind, Rediscovery of Men. I'm going to be reading more Cordwainer Smith for sure. Let me know what's your favorite of his short stories, perhaps. I'm going to be diving deeper in the future into his short stories. I did read, along with this one, I did read The Ballad of Lost Camel, and that was great too. Very tight. I think his short stories, he gets an idea and he explores it very well, whereas in this book, there's so many ideas. I wish there were few that I wish he concentrated a little bit more on. He's hinting about dystopia. He's talking about segregation and slavery through the use of these under people, these animals who have been uplifted, but also genetically altered to be almost human, but they're subjugated. So many interesting ways of looking at ideas that have, of course, been explored in so many different ways, but his way of looking at them, fantastic. I mentioned the conversation with like a AI. There is an incredible scene with our protagonist talking to a computer. Rod is the name of our protagonist. He's talking to an AI computer, and this book was written in the 60s, and it's done incredibly well. I was highlighting some of the stuff that the AI was telling our protagonist. Intriguing, funny. We all enjoyed this book, all of us, some more than others. That will always be the case. Reading is so subjective, but we all enjoyed it. It's absurd at times, or actually pretty much all the time. That's kind of the main thing if you think about this book. It's not hard science fiction, even though it's a proper science fiction for sure. It's a proper science fiction of its time. So, of course, we get some psychic powers, stuff like that, which I'm not a big fan of. But yeah, so not everything in this book worked for me, but now I'm just rambling. You need to check out the video. It's on Richard's channel, but I will link it down below. And yeah, check it out. If you're interested in Norstrilia, if you've read it and you want to just sit back and listen to us talk about it for a long time, it's a good video. We had a great time. So anyway, this was October. What a great month. And guess what? Guess what's going on right now? Why don't I have the book here with me? I'm going to bring it. Wait. Just you wait. I'm back. This is what I started already. This is what I'm reading in November. The Rise of Endymion. Oh my God. Page 94. Haven't had much time to read, but I'm loving this. I'm loving this. Rise of Endymion is already proving to be a candidate for the book of the year, I think. There's so many great books I read this year, but if it continues the way it has started, how it enveloped me into this world that I love so much, brought me back into this world. If it continues and if it ends the way I hope it will, it's going to be a candidate for the book of the year, or, you know, definitely a high rank. So anyway, reading Rise of Endymion, excited about this one. Yeah, that's it. That's it. Go away.